This 996 Turbo sold for $50,000. This one sold for $80,000. Essentially the same car, same mileage. What happened? The black car sold in February.
I made about $6,000. That money's long gone.
And the white car? That sold in June for $80,000.
They invested irresponsibly in fun cars.
Introducing a strategy we call the seasonal flip. But if you think you're gonna buy low and sell high, you better follow these 4 rules or you're gonna lose your shirt. We've got some tips coming up if you wanna try a seasonal flip.
Speaking of just the tip. Oh, sorry.
Welcome to Bid Left Nut. This is the car show, talk show, shit show where we debate what cars are worth. I'm Stace Ghost and this is Johnny Miata.
How are you?
I'm shivering here. It's still winter.
There is snow on the ground. They're expecting more to come.
Speaking of deep snow, we're going deep today into car buying advice backed by data.
I've done this more than once. I definitely believe that you can make some money buying cars in the off season and selling them in the warmer months.
Yeah, I think you can lose less money doing this, and it's not the same thing. I don't think car flipping is a way to make money.
Why don't we find out how this works?
We have this strategy that we call the seasonal flip. You buy a car like this M3 in November when there's snow on the ground. You sell it in April, you make some money. Well, that's what we're testing today. Because all winter, car guys like us, we're looking for cars that don't belong, looking for cars that are parked in the snow to say, hey, maybe we can score a deal because this cat doesn't like the cold. We're going to show you the best bets for making a seasonal flip work for you. And we'll even tell you what you should pay for those cars down to the very dollar. But first, we have to see who won last week's predictions.
Last week, we were talking about the values of collector cars, and we were wondering, does color matter? And the first car we looked at was this 1986 Porsche 944. This didn't come from the factory in Anaconda Green.
I like the color because I like cars with wild colors.
Somebody actually resprayed the car after an accident. So this car has a little sketchy history. Stace, what did you think about this car?
I'm not a fan of the 944 to begin with, so I'm not buying this car, but I did come in stronger on my prediction than you. Significantly stronger by like an order of magnitude.
The closer I looked at this car, the more I realized this really wasn't a nice example.
Boom, you were right on the money. Look, $18,000 this thing sold for. You were like 92% accurate. Let's just move on to this.
Tell me about this.
This is a rest of the world 1993 968 coupe 6-speed. The car was gorgeous, especially with the white wheels. So we came in closer on this. I came in at 42.5.
I thought I was strong money at 48, thinking that a 968 that's not a crazy low mileage car. What did this sell for?
Boom.
That's got to be a record. It has to be a record for a 968. It's a lot of money.
It is a ton of money. It came in at $69,000 and you were 69% accurate.
Do you think this might be an effect of the Bachmann auctions that occurred in January?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a similar mechanism happening here where cars in unusual specs will get the big dollars, even if they're not like pretty cars. So like most people would look at this and go, ew, but enthusiasts say this is one of one. I want it. And I will spend $69,000 on a $40,000 car.
You're definitely going to be the only one on the block with a signal green Porsche 968.
Yeah. All right. We had this guy. This was that 2012 Camaro ZL1, which had tons of work done to it. 850 horsepower. John, you love this car, right?
With this generation of Camaro, while I get it, it's not my cup of tea. And this one exemplified why they're not. Because with 22,000 miles, this thing looked like it had seen maybe 150,000 miles. How did we come out with this one?
I came in at 30,500 and you were...
I was lower. I was definitely let my biases show. 28,
yeah,
but...
It brought money.
My friend, you've got a gift.
I've got a gift for yellow cars. Yeah. Next we had the Supra. Low mileage. This was a 45th anniversary.
One of 900, so low production in terms of being a special edition. I think that you thought that would bring a premium. And I
Yes.
think you were right.
Yeah, we were close. We were only off by $3,000 from each other here, but the actual selling price was 52. So yeah, I was close to this one.
Once again, nailed it. Nice work.
Yeah. The last one we looked at was this gorgeous NSX 6-speed with 93,000 miles, which is not a spring chicken, but gorgeous color.
This was a well-maintained car, and yes, it's got 93,000 miles on it, but having the genes of a Honda, 93,000 miles when well-maintained is not a death sentence for these cars. And this one was very well-maintained and in excellent condition, and that color is just stunning.
This was one of 15 in this color, and the color was available, just not many people purchased it. So I came in at 121.5 for this.
And I was a little stronger. I was falling in love with it. I put 125 on this car.
Yeah. We were both relatively close because this came in at 128.
I never thought I would think of 128 as well bought for an NSX, but it's 2026 and people love these cars. I love these cars.
Yeah, and it was well presented.
They did all the things that we talk about in auctions, right? You want to present the car a certain way, and these guys definitely did that.
You want to see how we each performed head to head?
Let's see.
Boom. Johnny, you get the ribbon this week. 88.7% accurate, and I was quite a bit off from that. So last week we wagered one model car for the winner of his choice. So you're going to have to tell me what you want, and I'll have it shipped out to you, begrudgingly shipped out to you.
That's the best way of shipping, by the way. All right, I'm going to think about this. Maybe next week we'll talk about what I chose. But
don't forget, we're making predictions on 3 cars that you can buy right now. Hang on for those. Yeah. So now we're going to jump back to this week's premise of, can you buy a car, flip it, and make some money? So conventional wisdom says that, yeah, of course, this is the way it works. So we went looking for data, and best time to buy a classic car, when is that? Late fall and winter months. Johnny, is this what you've always believed?
Yeah, honestly, this is what I've been told forever and ever by those that came before me, right? If you want to make money on a car, you buy it in the winter, especially if it's a convertible or a sports car, because in the Northeast, at least, that's not the time that people are enjoying these cars. There is an expense to store them and hold them. You got to make sure that they're running throughout the winter, right? If it goes into hibernation, sometimes it's tough to wake them up.
Don't forget rodents.
Oh God, rodents, for sure. There are so many things that can happen during the winter in a period of hibernation that you're not enjoying them. You're just doing all the hard work to bring them into spring. So this is a great time to buy if you're a cheapskate like me.
Yeah, Hagerty does have a vested interest in you buying, but they've got some seasonal data here from live auctions, and they also break it down by online auctions. And you can see that live auctions peak in January with Car Week out in Scottsdale, and then they trundle on throughout the rest of the year.
Just talking for a moment about the auctions that we see on television, and the biggest ones being in January.
Yes.
Do you think that there's a little motivation there? Do you think there's a reason why that happens? It's not just good television. Why do you think the biggest auctions of the year typically occur in January?
There's a lot of pent-up anxiety. There's a lot of interest that people have in cars. They've got nothing else to do in January. So let's send them all to Arizona and get them to spend money on an old Chevelle or something that they really don't need.
Typically, it's a slow time of the year for the dealers that specialize in classics. And so I believe that they created these auctions to spur the market at a time where it's typically quiet. This was, of course, before Bring a Trailer. All right, you guys know how YouTube works. If you have a moment, it would mean a lot to both of us if you could like, share, and subscribe.
So let's say that you really wanted to try the seasonal flip. You wanted to see, how could Johnny's thesis be correct? Here's an example. So let's say that, Johnny, we find a car on Marketplace, this 2013 Z4, right?
Yep.
It's the middle of winter. Clearly, this dude's been selling it for a while because these pictures are from June, right?
Yeah, I got to be honest. When I'm looking at photos, depending on where the car is located, but if I see pictures of trees with leaves on them, and he's posting it in January, clearly he's had the car for a little while. That might be a great opportunity to strike up a deal.
So we've got a couple of cars that we're showing you that in the warm months, this Z4s are selling for more. So the guy on Marketplace right now, he's selling that car for 18 something. But we see that if you sell this car in May, you're going to make, in theory, more money.
There's a couple things that I think about when I buy cars in the winter with the intention of selling it in the warmer months. The first thing is, no matter what car I buy, I always have an exit strategy.
Give us a thumbs up if any of this is making sense to you.
All right. I try as hard as I can to choose cars that have strong resale value, so that if there's a reason why I don't want to keep it, or my intention is to actually sell it in the warmer months, the best thing I can do is get a car that has great resale value.
That's the position I take here, is that you lose less money, buy cold, sell warm. I don't see the seasonal flip as a real way to make money. I see it as a way to protect yourself. When I buy a car, I want to enjoy it for a couple of years, maybe 5 years or whatever. I want to sell it without losing any money. That, I think, is the smarter way to look at the idea of a seasonal flip, not as like an income generating opportunity.
Well, fair.
Have you done this? Wait, have you actually made money doing
this? As a matter of fact,
tell me.
One of the last cars that I've had, I kept for about 7 months. I enjoyed it. I bought the car right and I sold the car right. And as a result, I made about $6,000, which is great because it doesn't always happen that way. To your point, Stace Ghost, they're not all going to be home runs. And I'm not sure that I should do this in order to feed my family. But if I can take my hobby and either minimize the cost in that hobby or even make a few bucks, that makes this house much, much happier.
Yeah. I was going to ask, was that like the proudest $6,000 you've ever earned when you told your wife, I sold that car and made money?
The problem is my wife has been around long enough and is patient enough with me. She's also seen the $6,000 evaporation method of selling cars, which unfortunately I'm also familiar with. It happens.
Well, I want to back up what you're saying with data, either for or against, but here's the difficult part. We spent a lot of time looking for monthly data to see if car sales in the cold months actually made sense for selling them in warm months. We went looking for data. We just can't find it. Johnny, I know you're not good with a computer, but like you spent time. I gave you the assignment. You actually did it, right? You went.
Hey, I did it. Not only that, I hunted and pecked my way through the interwebs, and I was as shocked as anybody to find out that the data from month over month car sales doesn't really exist. And the thing is, we weren't just looking for a 6-month period.
Right.
I would love to find data on February of 2023, February 2024, February 2025 to get an idea of what a car is worth. Let's call it a Miata. Why not? And then find that same data for 23, 24, 25 in May. Yeah. And apparently it doesn't go month by month.
It doesn't go month by month. So you can find the data. So we went to classic.com, and one of the things we hit there was their paywall. And I wasn't going to pay for a subscription to classic.com. They filter by model, not by month. So you can do a lot of manual labor and figure that out. Bring a trailer, like you said, manual hunting and packing. Again, they don't have a monthly breakdown. And even Hagerty, where they've got a great price guide, they break it out by model and submodel, not by month. There's no month filter. So we looked. And if somebody out there has data, or if you've got an AI tool that you like to use, tell us. Because if we can replace Johnny with a piece of AI, I'm all for it.
That's going to be a pretty robot. The only other thing that I could offer is if Classic wants to sponsor us, we're here. Give us a call.
Call us.
Yeah, we're here.
Hey, but I do want to show you something that we did find. All right. So the Classic Valuer, this dude researched every convertible sold in Europe since 2019. And what he found was, Johnny, are you sitting down?
I am in a seat.
Good. What he found was February is the single most expensive month to buy a convertible. Not June, February. What do you think about them apples?
We talked before we film these shows. I know that that might be a surprise, but we do. And so when you gave me that data, I was a little surprised. I was a lot surprised. And I was trying to think of why that may be. And honestly, I couldn't really think of a good reason. But then what I tried to do was, you told me that this is from England. This is British information. I don't know why February would be considered the most expensive month for a convertible, but I can tell you that most people don't get their taxes in the United States, if you are getting a refund, until later in the season. And that's a huge consideration. A lot of people take that as a windfall, and they invested irresponsibly in fun cars. I'm not here to chastise them, but that raises the value for us a little later when people get their taxes. I don't know, that tax refund comes usually in April.
Yep.
We see an uptick in sales, I believe. So February was interesting. That was a different article for sure.
Yeah. And if you hang on tight, so we are actually going to talk about a method for doing a flip to reduce your risk and improve your odds of making money. And April is a key factor. So hang on for that. Johnny, I do want to show you some overall car data analysis for sale. Not this bullshit. What the hell? So I See Cars, they collect tons of data and their website is somewhat easy to use. This is, again, general cars. This isn't like the fun cars that you and I are talking about, looking for, sniffing out on Marketplace or whatever. They say November has a great amount of deals. It gets better in January, and it peaks on Martin Luther King Day with 65.5% more deals on retail car shopping.
And that kind of makes sense to me. If you think about it for a moment, in January and February, and again, what we're talking about, you just said, it's not just classic cars. This is overall used cars in the United States.
Right.
What you're going to find is year-end deals, right? The 2025s are still sitting on showroom floors, and we're now into 2026. Dealers are paying floor plan on those cars. We got to get them out of here. It also goes for used cars because those cars have just aged another year by calendar. And so now we're looking for better ways to get rid of them so we can get newer cars in. I don't know that it completely applies to classics where the age of the car is not quite as important, or with every year older, conceivably a car can be more valuable.
Sticking with I See Cars for a second, do you know when they say the worst time to buy is?
When is the worst time to buy a car?
June. Fewer deals. Don't buy a car in June.
It's nice. It's sunny. People are happy. They're not shoveling. I get it.
Don't buy a car in June unless you're buying something that Johnny is flipping.
Yes, by all means, buy it in June if I'm flipping it.
Hey, if the conventional wisdom was buy in winter, sell in summer, what do you think changed?
So I think there's been some changes to the market. I think the most important is exactly how you're watching it. I think the internet has revolutionized the way we buy and sell cars, right? Because in the last 10 years, Bring a Trailer has entered the chat. So with the proliferation of online auctions, we're seeing a much greater market for both cars to be bought and buyers out there waiting to buy their cars. And if you take a look at the charts, and Stace goes, I know you love data. Yeah. Tell me about how this has exploded in the last 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, so if you're watching this, you definitely know what Bring a Trailer is. Just think about these growth numbers. In 2020, they sold about $400 million worth of cars. The following year, they sold more than $800 million worth of cars. And last year, 2025, they sold $2.5 billion worth of cars. It's interesting to note that in 2025, Bring a Trailer outsold live auctions. That's crazy. That's the effect that Bring a Trailer has had. And that's what's driving this, what we would call this compression, right? So if the seasonal flip worked in the past and you could make 20, 25% profit, it's far narrower now, slim margins, maybe 10%.
Certainly. And I think if I'm looking to reduce my risk, that certainly still applies. And as I mentioned, I'm a hobbyist, right? So I'm trying to maintain my hobby for as little money as I can out of the family budget, right? I'm trying to, let's be honest here, I'm trying to stay married. If my
Yes.
wife is watching this, Liz, I love you. Please, let's stay married.
Yeah. Let's talk about why we're not seeing those margins. And so, location. Tell me why you think location doesn't matter anymore.
When you have outfits like Cars and Bids and Bring a Trailer, P Car Market, when you have different auction sites, you are now pulling in cars from all over the country. But not
Yeah.
only that, you're also pulling in buyers from all over the country. So, with a much larger market, a much bigger audience, you now have more cars to choose from.
I don't want to say that your idea of a seasonal flip doesn't work at all. I still think there are some strategies, and we put together some basic rules to maybe mitigate risk on those strategies. So the first one is what Johnny's been talking about, timing the market. You buy it when it's cold, you sell it when it's warm. April being a great month to sell because people are getting their rebate checks. Weather's warming up, people feel stupid with their money, they want to go. And we're worried about missing the summer, right? We want a car so that we can enjoy it all summer. If I start looking for a car in June, I'm not picking it up probably until August or September, and I've missed most of the good driving weather.
I still think this is a great strategy because even with all of the things that we just talked about, leveling the playing field a little bit, you still have an opportunity to get a great car at a discount, which might help you in spring when those prices go back up.
Yeah. That's strategy one. Strategy two, we call this rob the Sun Belt. So Johnny and I both live in the Northeast where cars disintegrate when they go outside. But if you were to find like a really clean Forerunner in California, you could flip that to some Vermont hippie, no questions asked. This is a real thing and this works. Buying cars from good places and selling them where we're shocked to see a car that has the entirety of its fenders in place.
I don't know if somebody that grew up in LA has worked on California cars their whole lives, do they understand the pain of all the broken bolts from rust? I
Scrape
have
knuckles, man.
my old Land Cruiser is actually it's a Northeast car. It actually grew up. It was sold at a dealer that's about 20 miles from my house. It is relatively rust free. But those Sunbelt people, if they ever saw my car, they would bring it right to the junkyard. They would be like, "Oh, this car, it's a write-off." But somebody that grew up in the Philly area or in Massachusetts or Vermont, they think it's the most rust-free vehicle they've ever seen. It's all about perspective, but I agree. I would, at this point in my life, if I can afford it, I'm going to go to a rust free area of the country, pick out my car, and trailer it home. I would much rather do mechanical work than body work.
Yeah. Johnny, trailering. So that's something that people do need to keep in mind. It's
Yes.
not free to move a car from Arizona to Connecticut or wherever. You got hauling fees, or you can drive it yourself.
Now, you
Cross
have some
country
experience with this, correct?
Yeah. Oh, so last February, a year ago, as a matter of fact, I shipped my new Alfa Romeo 4C from Pasadena to here to Boston, and it's not insignificant. It's around $2,000. I paid a little less because I know a guy, but just make sure you know what you're getting into before you go and buy a car that's 3,000 miles away.
Did you buy it from a little old lady in Pasadena?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did not buy it from her. She asked too much money.
It happens. It happens.
The bitch. So strategy number three, we call this platform arbitrage. We know that there are good online platforms, and we know that there are
The others.
The others, yeah. You can pick up pretty good deals on Marketplace or Craigslist or even eBay just because there are fewer buyers there. And so like Marketplace, there are fewer people because people are looking geographically. I'm searching for cars in a 20-mile radius from right here.
Do you want to
But
know
I
a
know
secret, Stace Ghost?
Please.
People are lazy.
People are lazy.
People are lazy. Use that to your advantage. If somebody's
right.
going to put up their ad on Marketplace and they're going to take 3 pictures of it through their living room window, which is dirty, and they're going to put runs good as their complete description, you're going to get that car for less money.
Yeah.
You market that car with good pictures on a national platform after you've cleaned it up and gone through it mechanically, you're going to make money.
Speaking of looking on platforms, there are some simple rules. So Just because you find something that might be a deal and somebody's lazy doesn't mean you should buy it. So we've got 4 rules that you should follow, helping you get through the process unscathed. So the first one is, and this is like, Johnny, you go to the casino. I know you're a big gambler. You pick your budget and you stick to it. You don't go in with any more money. You leave your ATM card at home. Don't go do an auction or don't surf auctions without a budget in mind. What bad things can happen if you don't?
A lot of times cars are an emotional purchase, right? Getting your emotions involved is never a good idea, which is why the budget conversation comes into play. You stick to that budget, and man, maybe that's the car you want the most that you've ever wanted, especially when you're there and it's pretty and it's all shined up.
Right.
But if you're paying double what you planned on paying, and now you have no money to rectify any issues that it might have, by the way, it's an old car, it's going to have issues. You're in for a bad time.
At the same time as you're deciding what your budget is, you need to decide what are the cars that you're going to go look for. If you don't know anything about Corvette Z06s, don't buy one. Just because you find something that looks like a great deal, you're not going to win.
The other side of this is maybe you don't know anything about Corvette Z06s. Do your research, find out where the weaknesses are. If it looks like a great deal, but you know nothing about the car, it's probably not a great deal.
Somebody else is going to beat you at that game, probably the seller.
Whatever it is that you don't know may be the problem that makes this car so cheap. So stick to your comfort zone and the cars that you understand. So the third part of this is finding high volume cars.
Yeah. I mentioned the Z06 intentionally because there just aren't that many Z06s compared to regular C6s. There are fewer of those, and you're going to have a lot more competition.
If you listen to Stace and I and some of our other conversations, that we like unicorns and we like cars that are rare. Maybe not cars that are bright yellow with a lime green interior, but that's a whole nother episode that might be somewhere around here. What we're looking at is high volume cars, because if you're looking to buy in early winter and then sell in the spring to make some money, you don't want to spend all your time looking for a unicorn. What you're looking for is a nice example of a great car that's relatively plentiful. You buy that car and then you sell it in the spring for a profit. If you're looking for that one of one color and you're trying to find that in November of a given year, it's going to be really hard to do.
And if you want to spend time looking for cars that are extraordinary, that's fine. You just can't turn this into a viable business.
Yeah, because I think, just to piggyback on what you're saying, if a unicorn was indeed to fall in your lap and you find that one of one 911 that is the paint to sample car, yeah, buy it. But that's, I don't believe, is the car that you should set out to look for if you have a tight time frame.
And seasonality doesn't apply to really special cars. There's no discount on a one of one paint to sample 911. There's always a buyer for that car. So if you heard all of this and you still want to go forward with trying to buy a car and flip it, we have 3 examples that are for sale right now, auctions ending today. And we'll tell you exactly how much you should spend.
Let's do some predicting.
The first car that we have up is this 2004 Miata. And I have to say, I'm not a fan of the NB Miata, but I really like this one.
Do you know what makes this car special?
Oh, so many things. But you would know. You're the Miata guy because your name is...
I am Johnny Miata. So this is a Mazdaspeed Miata, a 2004. And this is a turbocharged Miata. So I'm with you on the NB. It's my least favorite, but this thing is special. It had special wheels. It's had the upgraded motor. It's all the things.
Yeah. And so even though this is a special edition, being the Mazdaspeed, this is still a volume car. There are plenty of these for sale.
And this looks like a nice, tidy example. It's got about 96,000 miles on it, but it looks well maintained, kept. It's a pretty car.
This one's on Cars and Biz right now. This fits into our 4 rules, right? This is certainly not a unicorn. This is a car that you can probably steal right at the moment and sell it come May or June.
Absolutely. I think that there's always going to be a market for Miatas.
All right, Johnny. So you like the Miatas. You've adopted it as your name. Let's talk about this one and what we predicted for it.
I do like Miatas. I think Mazdaspeed with the turbo engine, it looks really well maintained. I think I went a little strong on it. I think it's $11,000. Interesting.
Yeah, I was right in there with you. I'm curious. So before you sent over your predictions this morning, did you look at mine or were you just, this is just a
No, I didn't
coincidence?
see. I swear I didn't see yours. As a matter of
Okay.
fact, I purposely don't look at yours if I can help it, because I'd rather go in blind and just give my prediction.
Yeah,
So
that's what
we're
we say
close.
about you.
We're,
Johnny would rather go in blind.
that's me, blind guy.
Our second car comes to us from Hagerty. This is a 2000 Boxster S 5-speed. It's got a couple miles on it, Johnny.
This car has 120,000 miles on it.
It's a survivor without the scars of being a survivor.
It is. I notice the first thing that I notice about this car, I do love the color, but it's got the lobster forks.
Mhm.
I don't know that those were factory in 2000, but
997 wheels, I believe.
they work on this car, in my opinion. I think that this is a good looking car, even though it's got a good amount of miles on it.
So one thing that I was noticing when we were scouting cars to use for predictions that might be good candidates for flips, I was looking for cars that weren't quite perfect, or maybe somebody didn't really understand what they were doing. I looked at the exhaust on this car, and I said, okay, this car has a couple of issues just because the pipes are not level. There's
Yeah, I
another,
definitely noticed this as well. Being an S, it does have the dual outlets in the back in the center, which I love, but I really love when they're symmetrical and even.
yeah. Another thing that drew me to this car was the awful photography. I looked at this and said to myself, this might go for a bargain because the photos aren't great. Now, if you notice, when you take a photo of a car at a 3/4 angle, like this front 3/4, you should not have the tire tread showing. The wheel should have been turned to the right. Basic photography things that this person just doesn't understand. That means you might get a bargain.
I will say that these photos aren't flattering to the car. It's the middle of the day. The light isn't quite right. It's a pretty car, but yeah, the photography leaves something to be desired.
Every scratch, every flaw is visible at high noon.
It is.
So it's time for us to make a prediction.
2000 Boxster with some modifications, but I feel like they're tasteful. It's a good looking car, but it does have 120,000 miles on it. And I think that's going to factor into what somebody's going to pay for it. I would put $9,200 on it.
Yeah, I came in a little bit higher than you based on the data, and I scoured classic.com for resale data on these guys. So we're going to see in a couple of hours who is right and who is not.
I think it being an S may get you closer than I am. I'll talk about it. I like E46s. Yeah, okay. And so the last car we're going to look at and give a prediction to is this E46 M3. And
Yes.
I think I've mentioned it before. I'm not the biggest BMW guy. However, I think the E46 is a beautiful car, so long as it has a manual transmission, which this one does.
Right.
This car in Imola red is really pretty. And honestly, for being a snowy photo shoot, I think the photos are pretty good. But the thing that stood out to me immediately about this car is the mileage. This is a 147,000 mile example. And some of you may be wincing at that. But the way I see it, when it has that many miles on it, if it's made it that far, somebody has probably put some tender loving care into this thing.
Yeah, let me interject, because if it's made it this far, 150,000 miles, and it looks this good, somebody has cared for it.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be afraid of the miles necessarily on this car, so long as I know that it has service history, which I do believe this one has.
Correct. And this is not a Minnesota car, even though it's being sold in Minnesota. This has a ton of service records from Arizona and California.
So this might be a prime example of a car that you can get for a bargain.
The red car on the white background, the snow really pops. I think these aren't the best photos in the world, but this dude working with what he had, the weather, this car, that parking lot.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed looking at this listing as much as doing the research to make sure that it was a viable car. And I really do think it is.
These photos, when he brought it into the warehouse, where who knows what malfeasance is going to happen in that warehouse, these look good. These photos look better than this car deserves at 150,000 miles.
It's a clean piece. It really is. I think that this would be a lot of fun for relatively low dollars.
All right, Johnny. So predictions on this stunning red M3. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like about this.
Yeah, and I think this car has so much going for it. Imola red, pretty color. Love the wheels. I love the spec. The condition is great. It's got service records. It's a manual, which is probably the most important thing in my mind for an E46 M3. That 147,000 mile number, while it may not bother me, might bother the next person. And so that definitely impacts what I think it's going for.
You said 13. That's a lot of car for $13,000.
That's what I kept thinking as I was lowering the value as I'm thinking about it. And I'm like, but I would pay $13,000 for this car. You're absolutely right. So I don't think it's going to go for less.
Hey, you made $6,000 on that other flip. You're halfway to this car.
That money's long gone, but I like where your head is at.
Yeah.
We'll see. No.
All right, man. So we're coming to the end of the show here, and we've got to tell the people, do seasonal flips work?
It's definitely possible. I have made money on cars. I've done it doing this method of buying in the winter and selling in the better months. The margins were higher, but they still exist. They're just smaller now. Right. It really comes down to not only the time of the year, but all the other things, the condition, looking at some of the things that other people are ignoring, the laziness in other people. That is definitely a factor as well.
Yeah, I would say for me, the seasonal flip does work, but not in the way you're thinking about it. I look at it as a way to minimize your risk of a car purchase. So whether you plan to hold it or whether you plan to drive it only for a few years, buy it in November when prices are at their lowest, and you're at least at the floor, right? So even if you change your mind 6 months or a year from that, you've purchased it at the lowest possible price, but it's not going to fill your pockets with Benjamins. It's going to just fill your driveway with a car that won't cause a divorce.
And isn't that the goal? So here's what I think you should do. I really think that you should set up some alerts on social media for cars that you want to look at. Certainly, even before that, you want to pick the right time of the year. And honestly, it's still cold. There's snow on the ground in the Northeast, but that window is starting to close because tax returns are coming. And I'm telling you, the first warm day, car prices are going to go up, especially for classics, convertibles. But pick the time of the year. And when the cars hit the market, you're ready to pounce.
I think you got to buy before February. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
So whether you bought it in November, December, or January, when do you think you have to have this car listed by?
You really want to hit the sweet spot of April because that's when most of the tax returns are coming back. And so you want an audience that has money in their pockets.
Yeah, excellent. That's great advice. So I got to ask people out there, do you think the seasonal flip works? Drop your comments below and let us know if you've ever done this. Have you flipped a car? Have you lost money on a car? We know Johnny, he talked about making money. I'm sure he's got stories about how much he's lost too.
It's another episode. I have lost a lot of money in automobiles. I don't regret it. Good experiences. Maybe I regret it a little bit, but yeah, it's part of the game.
Yeah. Hey, Johnny, do you know one of my favorite parts of doing this show is?
What's that?
People leave such great comments for us. And recently on an episode, somebody left a comment where they called you the old guy.
Do you think it's because of my beard?
I think it's the cane.
Call me old, but put it in the comments.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching and speed safely.
See you later.